have one of our Peralta alum here. My name is Meredith Brown, and I'm the Vice President of the Board, so I'll be leading our meeting this evening. Trustee Bonilla had to catch a red-eye flight to the East Coast for work reasons, and she was here in closed session but was unable to make open session. So we'll have our public comment on, we'll actually have our closed session readout now. And Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen, if you could, and we're calling the meeting to order at 7:08.
Thank you. At tonight's closed session, the board voted to ratify the appointment of the following public employee contracts, all of which are subject to contractual agreement by the Chancellor. And all of these votes were on a vote of 7 ayes, 0 nays, no abstentions, and no absences. So we approve the recommendation to extend the appointment of Tamika Brown as the interim assistant vice chancellor for enrollment management in the district office effective July 1, 2017 through the end of the year 2017 at a salary of $125,877,000. We also approve the recommendation to appoint Kevin Wade as the Dean of Student Services at Laney College effective July 1, 2017 through June 30, 2019 at $125,877 annually. We ratified the Chancellor's approval to extend the management appointment of Osifran Akundaye as the interim project manager of maintenance and operations here in the district office effective June 1, 2017 through June 30, 2017. Is that correct, June 30, 2017? It was just the 1 month? Okay. At $109,458 annually on an annualized basis. We also ratified the Chancellor's approval to appoint Christine Williams as interim Vice Chancellor for Finance and Administration here in the District Office effective June 5, 2017 through the end of the year at a salary of $186,080 annually. And we approved the recommendation to appoint Herb Kitchen as the Director of Student Activities and Campus Life at Merritt College effective June 14, 2017 through June 30, 2019 at $106,065 annually. And if any of these individuals are present, if you could please stand so we could welcome you to your new position, your ongoing position. Any of you here? Well, congratulations and thank you for your service, Madam Vice President. That concludes the closed session readout for tonight.
Didn't do roll call, Madam Clerk, or is neither one of you guys are going to beat me up? Okay, good. Go on to the approval of the agenda. We have a motion from Trustee Riley, second by Trustee, was that Gonzalez-Yuen or Withrow?
Either one. Meredith?
Oh, so we have a, actually, there are two items that we need to, we have a motion and a second, so now would be the appropriate time to make any changes to the agenda. I know that we have, what, 6.3? And we also have, what was that number, Karen?
It is, well, I have two. One is 6.26, and one is just, let's see, 6.1.
So I'll give Madam Clerk a moment to write those on our board.
And for the public, could you indicate what those items are, please?
6.26.
Yeah, I'm actually looking through the agenda to get those. I've got the printout, and I'm printing on my computer. Oh, okay, 6.26 is consider approval of contract between PCCD and Lifelong Medical Care not to exceed $50,000 for the 2017-18 fiscal year. That's 6.2. And 6.3 is...
No, 6.26.
Oh, 6.26. Oh, okay, all right.
It's a quarterly.
That is not the, so scratch that, Brenda. You guys are going to get me beat up eventually anyway.
It's 6.26.
Vice President Brown, while you were looking at that, did you also mention 6.33, the security contract?
That is being pulled. That's what I mentioned, yes, 6.26.
So 6.33 is being removed entirely from the agenda?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, let's do that one first, Nikki, because that one is
Okay.
in terms of
And would you
the
like me to read
numerical-
that?
Yes, please.
So 6.33 is consideration of approval to enter into the agreement of a district-wide security guard and patrol services contract. I believe this is with ABC Security Services, and that, we're going to take that off the agenda entirely.
Can you repeat the action items, please?
Okay, so it's 6.33 and 6.26, and you've got, and six, you want me to read 6.3, or 6 point,
Being pulled is 6.33, right?
is that 3.3 or 3?
Chancellor pulling that? Yeah. Just make sure that goes in
So
the record.
action, what's being pulled for action?
Okay, so the action item that's being pulled is, well, actually,
6.1, 6.3, and 6.26, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
yes, 6 point, yeah. Those are
You said
consent items.
6.1 and 6.3, or is that something else?
And the confusion here is that we have a brand-new format for this agenda, and it's
And that's-
really hard to find things on this big printout.
Chancellor.
The chancellor, okay.
I agree.
All right, we got it.
All right, we've got them now.
Yeah, this is an interesting system.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to continue to move along through this new agenda format as I try and bring up my computer so I could read it better. The next thing, so we have the approval of the agenda with these items that are pulled. And so we had a motion to approve the agenda. Can we get that, is that motion modified to include these modifications?
Agree to the modification.
And Trustee Riley? you
Yes,
agree?
I'm fine.
Okay, so we'll take our vote now. It's been moved and second to approve the agenda with the modifications noted on the board. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Any opposed? That motion carries. The next thing we have on the agenda is the approval of the minutes.
So moved.
It's been moved to approve the minutes, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So we have the happy occasion of welcoming our new student trustee, Nessie Moore, and we'll be swearing in our new student trustee. Oh, James, okay. So, that's what I'm wondering, statutorily, public office, are you elected to a public office?
Not elected to a public office.
So, statute.
I mean, I can stand with
Yes, yes.
you. More than willing to do that.
Well, actually, we can read it, James, we can read it together. Would you like to read it together? As long as there's one of us has been elected to a public office, we fit the statute.
Okay.
So, Nessie, if you'll repeat after us. Say your name, do solemnly swear
I, Nessie Moore, do solemnly swear
to carry out my responsibilities
As student trustee
of
of
the
Peralta Community College District
to carry out my responsibilities as student trustee of the Peralta Community College District.
I do personally commit myself to convey the concerns of the student body to the Board of Trustees
I do personally commit myself to convey the concerns of the student body to the Board of Trustees
and
and to convey the concerns of the Board of Trustees to the student body
to the best
to
of
my
my ability.
ability.
and to convey the concerns of the Board of Trustees to the student body to the best of my ability.
Welcome.
Nice duet, though.
And I would like, we have our outgoing student trustee in the audience. Come on up for the photo. Okay, our outgoing student trustee is a walking spirit. All right, his new college and the Warriors. that would help. I will turn on the mic. Do we have public comment? Anyone?
Madam Vice President, we have one person in public comment, and that is Mr. Dave Ivan Cruz.
Who's that?
So good evening to every one of you. Again, I'm Dave Ivan Cruz. I'm your outgoing student trustee for the Peralta Community College District. First of all, I'd like to welcome again Nessie Moore. Congratulations on your election, and rest assured that Marquita Price and I would continue our communications with her to ensure a smooth process, a smooth transition of power and as student trustees. So we hope to work with you even though I'm moving on and she's still going to be here next year. So thank you all again for the opportunity.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you for your commitment and your service.
Madam Vice President, we did have one addendum to the agenda that I forgot to read out here, and that was that under item 6.1, out-of-state travel, the travel for Drew Gephardt to Tokyo, Japan has been removed.
Thank you.
So if we can amend the agenda appropriately,
Herb just came in.
move to amend.
We will take that as a retroactive amendment.
All right.
The next item on our agenda is the Associated Student Government Reports. Summer school hasn't started. The spring semester's over. I don't believe we have any Associated Student Government Reports. The next item on our agenda then will be the Chancellor's Report.
Members of the board and members of the public, this evening I would like to have a special presentation made in place of my Chancellor's report. And I'm going to introduce Professor Rochelle Olive from College of Alameda. She will present the person who will make the special presentation to us. I had an opportunity to see the student being recognized, and she made all of us so proud that we do the work that we do. I didn't want to keep that to myself, wanted to make sure that I share that with the rest of you, so she's going to use my time this evening to share. Well, Professor Olive will introduce her, and we'll go from there.
Okay, good evening. I thought my voice was loud enough. I am so honored to introduce one of our students. She was our salutatorian at College of Alameda. She's a remarkable young lady that has been very involved in the community, in our school, as well as maintaining a 4.0 GPA. So we give her a hand. It's really a challenge. So without further ado, she has a remarkable story to share with you. I would like for all of you to greet her with a beautiful smile. Yes, to say your name, I forgot.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Esther Pilater. Good evening. Thank you so much, Chancellor Laguerre, for inviting me with such a generous invitation and such an honor. I'd like to thank the trustees for everything that you've done to provide affordable, quality education for students like myself who could not afford it otherwise. I'm indebted to you. And also thank you, President Karras and the administration of College of Alameda, for serving us with commitment and with dedication. When I first came to College of Alameda as a junior in high school, I walked into the Welcome Center, I took one look around the room, and I told my mom, if I was an architect, I could design this place so much better. Basically, I didn't want to be at community college. I may have thought I was too good for it. Now fast forward 3 years to this past semester, when I worked for the outreach department and my job was to go to high schools around the Bay Area and tell students how awesome College of Alameda is. So how did this transition take place? Well, first of all, you need to understand that the whole goal of that somewhat arrogant junior in high school was to get through community college as fast and impressively as possible. But at College of Alameda, I found something that I didn't expect. I found instructors who cared as much for what was in here as what is up here. They challenge my belief structures in ways that I'd never been challenged before, opening up my mind to a world full of real and present need, in which I am unusually privileged. And my privilege comes with responsibility to serve those who are not. A second surprise was working in the counseling and outreach offices, where I had an opportunity to serve populations that I'd hardly encountered before, talking vets, foster youth, the mentally challenged, immigrants, formerly incarcerated. I'll never forget, there was one formerly incarcerated gentleman who didn't even know how to use a computer mouse, but he was determined to fill out an application to college. It took him a couple hours to do an application that would take the average student maybe half an hour. It was people like this, situations like that, that taught me an important lesson, that I have the power to make a difference in the situation of someone less fortunate than I, simply by considering their needs as important as my own. I've had the dream of serving battered women through art therapy for years, but at College of Alameda, I found structure, experience, and heart to put behind that purpose. In my opinion, that is an education even better than books, and that is why I am proud of College of Alameda. A word to the students, or in this case, students of life. You are world changers, but if your intention is to get through challenges in life as quickly and impressively as possible, as was mine, allow me to challenge you to reconsider. Don't waste the treasure of education on drowning out purpose with the pursuit of prestige and comfort. But use your education for something better than you. Use it for something good. Thank you very much, and God bless.
I think I want to see that again. I think. Promised I'd behave myself today. So next we have the, you're not going to try and follow that, right, Chancellor? Okay, I'm
No,
going to
except-
work on behaving myself.
Except, I mean, this was such a, the only thing that could, well, second that, not even come close, is how about them Warriors? Just want to share that they have leased our parking lot for Thursday. So if you intend to be around here on Thursday, make alternate plans, and we leave the parking here open for those who attend Laney College. But to hear Esther and to see the victory that we had last night, it doesn't get any better. So thank you so much, Esther, for joining us.
Thank you, Esther. So the next item we have on our agenda is the Peralta Classified Senate Report. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped over my colleagues. It's the Board of Trustees report. And we'll start with Trustee Weinstein.
Thank you. First of all, thank you, Esther, for that. That was terrific. I want to say I felt so honored to go to all of the graduations this past month. This was the first time that I've done that. And I will say that it's extremely moving and emotional. I'm so impressed with the students, with their families, and how much the students and families cared about the graduation and cared about their children, their friends, their husbands, their wives, to be able to do this. And it just confirms or reconfirms for me the importance of community colleges and the importance that we are helping students to make a better life. And I thank the faculty for the work that they've done to help these students as well as the administrators. So for me, that was the highlight of the month. It was just really terrific. I did have an opportunity to meet with David Silver from the Oakland Promise, or Oakland Unified School System, and we spoke. I wasn't able to go to the big event, but we did speak about the Oakland Promise and what they're doing, and I will say that it's very impressive from somebody hearing what they're doing, and of course they're very appreciative of Peralta Community College for helping as well. So the whole idea or concept of free college, whether it is helping with tuition or helping with living expenses, is really important in today's culture. There's so much going on politically that some of the important issues in education are getting pushed a little bit to the side. But I have no doubt that they will reemerge, and I'm very happy that we are all really paying attention to the free college movement and the Oakland Promise, all the promises, Berkeley, Alameda, Merritt, and Laney. So I would say those were the two things that I was most interested in this last month, and I thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Weinstein. And Nessie.
Thank you, everyone. I just wanted to make a little bit of an introduction for myself and also talk a little bit about student representation. So my name is Nessie Moore. I go by any gender-neutral pronouns. If you want to refer to me properly or formally, you can refer to me as Mix Moore or Trustee Moore. Recently, a wise person reminded me that sometimes work is pleasure and sometimes pleasure takes work. Another wise person told me that if I want to become a monk, I should go to school, and if I want to protest, I need to increase my sphere of influence. So here I am today. Here I am on a board of trustees that has voted against the full exercise of student rights allotted by the California state law. This board has voted in favor of impeding student representation by stripping away the right to make a motion and by stripping away the right to second a motion. This reminds me of the curriculum committee at Laney College. And on that committee, I had to fight for a place on that committee, and I had to fight for a vote on that committee. And to me, it seemed really basic student representation. It's a shared governance committee. And at the end of the year, there was a very important meeting where the people in the room on the committee, they decided to have a meeting, even though I pointed out to them that they did not post an agenda for the meeting and there was no public notice about this meeting. And afterwards, some of the people, some members of the committee, they came to me and they apologized. They said, there's just so much work. We can't do it all. We have to kind of cut some corners sometimes, but we're sorry. This shouldn't have happened like this. And I told them, while I appreciate your apology, it's important to note that because things transpired as they did, we have no record of a problem. We have no understanding of something to approach with a solution. So they also gave a list while we were going through this process of getting a student representative on the committee where they gave a list of reasons why students should not be on the board, or on the committee. And the list included things like students changing, students not being reliable, students needing to be trained. And so I told them, this is a list of things for you to do. This is a to-do list. This is things for you to work on in order to make sure that there is proper student representation. And so today I'm going to ask that there be an agenda item put for the next board meeting so that we can address the student trustees' right to make a motion and the student trustees' right to second a motion. And if you have any reason against that, I'd like to remind you of that to-do list. Is this something that's on the Board of Trustees to-do list, something that we need to work on so that there can be more full and comprehensive student representation? So, thank you, and I look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you, Trustee Moore. Trustee Handy.
Hi, all. It's been a while since we've been here because we had 5 graduations in 7 days. And one of the highlights of being a trustee is to actually see all of the work that we do come to a culmination when we see the students walking across that stage. And the one thing that I really would like to take a moment out to thank is all of the faculty and staff members of the individual colleges that worked tirelessly to make that experience very special for each and every student. As we arrive there and someone is already there telling us where to stand and where to line up, I mean, you're just taken by how organized they all are. And this is people taking their own time to do it. In the African American graduation, as I sat there looking at our students at that same church that many of my family members had been funeralized in, and I mean, it's a standard part of the community, I realized that the first planning meeting with Dr. Van Hook, I believe Ann, and a few other folks that may be in the audience, my granddaughter was 4 months old, sitting in a baby seat on one of the pews while the first meeting was being planned, and she's going to be 9 years old in another month and a half. So the first time that we had that, I thought, oh, are the students going to show up? Is it going to be a big deal? Because I walked into the church and I walked into the area with the faculty and staff, and I didn't really see a lot of them. And then I walked downstairs into the basement, and I literally broke in tears. There were 200 students there. That was for the very first one. So I just want to thank all of you who really go beyond the norm to make sure that these experiences are so incredible, not just for the students, but for the family. And I really like that this year the invitation being extended out to the family members and people in the audience who possibly thought that community college was not a place for them, but to actually give that invitation and say, you too can be here, and we want to talk to you and we want to see you. Now, that was very, very special, and I want to thank all of you for that.
Thank you, Trustee Handy. Trustee Riley. Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen.
Thank you. I'll just make this brief. One, I want to welcome our new trustee, Nessie Moore, student trustee Nessie Moore. Really glad you're here, and I'd actually like to second your call for an agenda item to consider allowing student trustees the ability to make and second motions. This was, in fact, something that we raised about 10 years ago in the Board Policy Committee. We had a vigorous discussion at the time. At that time, there wasn't a board majority that thought that it was necessary or appropriate, but I think maybe it would be a good time to revisit that discussion and just see where the board is. I myself would be quite supportive of that. I see no reason not to do it, and there are other colleges in the state that allow this. So I would also like to do that, and I appreciate your bringing it up, and would call for a vigorous discussion on that issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen. Trustee Withrow.
Pass.
Thank you. I would just like to thank the faculty and staff for the support of the students that culminates in their graduation. I had a death in the family and was only able to go to one graduation this year, as opposed to making all 5 of them. It's the first time in 5 years I've missed the graduations, but I was able to attend the first one, which was the African American student graduation, and the work that goes into that is commendable, as Trustee Handy said. And I also wanted to comment on the sense of enthusiasm and inspiration that the graduations create and inspire in the family members was evident this time when Reverend Van Hook said, "Who wants to go to college?" And the hands shot up all through the church, which was awesome. And so, you know, it's great when people find leadership in their own perseverance and their own accomplishments, and that inspires others. So it was a great event to attend. It's always inspirational. So thank you to the students for their perseverance and their commitment, and to the faculty and staff and our community members that make that possible. So the next thing on our agenda is the classified Senate report.
Good evening. I'm coming across okay. Good evening, trustees, chancellor, administrators, faculty, students, community members, and fellow classified staff. As this is one of our last, if not perhaps the last Board of Trustee meeting of the fiscal year, the Peralta Classified Senate wishes to spare Chancellor Laguerre and the trustees of any consideration for sweeping resolutions or call for action tonight. Instead, I wish to simply briefly reflect on some accomplishments that have positively impacted classified staff over the past year and will inevitably benefit our ability to fulfill our purpose to serve Peralta students. In late March, the PCB endorsed the work of the Resource Allocation Task Force for Classified Hiring that I believe you're all aware of, which reviewed the myriad of issues with our allocation and follow-through processes. And while there were a total of 5 key recommendations, 2 noteworthy items exemplify the change in mindset that enhance our transparency and workflow accountability. I'd like to just share those 2 that are, I think, exemplify the work of that task force. And the first would be that states that any new or existing college and district categorical and or grant at specific funding thresholds should include the appropriate classified staffing support. The second is the inclusion of the classified Senate consultation process related to the review of how these initiatives will be supported. Simple and yet necessary to perform our due diligence, I would say, to ensure that we are not taking on initiatives for which we are unprepared or in which we are unfairly delegating to existing staff. We are also reminded of an accreditation recommendation with respect to our need to review our processes. Again, this has been somewhat of a paradigm shift for Peralta that is not only healthy, but is also something that classified staff is poised to participate in. While there is plenty of room for increased participation with accreditation matters, it is our feeling that the level of participation by classified staff has never reached the level of recent contributions. So this must be acknowledged, nurtured, and encouraged. In addition to this meeting being our final or second to the final for 16-17, it could be, in fact, that at least for the foreseeable future, that this that me addressing the board as a classified Senate officer will be the last time. I will remind you that I took on this role as the result of Tim Bryce accepting a district level position. I have been serving for the past several months as an interim, and meanwhile, the Peralta Classified Senate is in the process of holding elections. So it is likely the case that you will see and experience a new, or perhaps not so new, but otherwise different body in this seat for the fall. Before I close, I would like to also thank Chancellor Laguerre for helping to shape, guide, and support the direction of the Classified Senate. While previous Senates have periodically had the pleasure of an audience with former chancellors, Chancellor Laguerre has graciously and genuinely participated in regular meetings with the Classified Senate, which has fostered new levels of communication. I am pleased to have participated in these valuable discussions and trust that this will continue for future Senate officers who take the helm. And so with that, I would like to bid you all an enjoyable and prosperous summer. Thank you, and good evening.
Thank you very much for that thoughtful report. The next thing on our agenda is the Academic Senate report.
So good evening, members of the board and our Peralta community. First, I'd like to welcome to the board Student Trustee Moore. It is an honor to have you, and your seats that you sit in are some of my more favorite seats on the board, and also guiding for us, really guiding your words. And so I appreciate that you came on your very first meeting and asserted yourself because we absolutely need that. I would like to read to you a couple of resolutions that the District Academic Senate passed at our last meeting in May. The first resolution I'd like to read is proper consultation prior to including part-time faculty office hours and student equity plans. I will forward the resolution to you, and I will read tonight the resolved statements. Resolved that the college senates not sign off on any plan that contains funds for part-time faculty office hours that didn't go through written college processes following proper Senate consultation. Resolved that college senates work through their shared governance committees during the fall 2017 term, reviewing potential plans for the manner in which part-time faculty office hours may be included in the college's student equity plans. Resolved that before signing off on any student equity plans that include part-time faculty office hours, college senates recommend an evaluation plan for the efficacy of the activity. And resolved that college senates work through the shared governance committees to recommend methods for evaluating the efficacy of part-time faculty office hours activities included in the college's future student equity plans. The second resolution, again, just sharing with you the resolve statements. Resolve that the chancellor and the board not use college student equity plan funding to pay for part-time faculty office hours. That the chancellor provides to the colleges a detailed accounting of district expenses used out of the college equity plans funds, along with a detailed analysis of the effect of those expenses on disproportionately impacted student groups identified in the college's plans. And that the chancellor honors the individual college plans and the process through which they were derived, and not making any decisions counter to those plans without first communicating in writing the chancellor's reasoning and afford the colleges an opportunity to respond. And those were our two resolutions we passed at our last District Academic Senate meeting. And again, as I spoke on the night that we had members of the public, mostly faculty and students, speaking to the student equity plans, I spoke then, and as I do now, that the idea of student equity plan funds being used for part-time office hours isn't something that the District Academic Senate is absolutely against. But we ask, because the colleges are accountable for those particular funds and the plans, and making sure that anything being used out of those plans as the colleges have already gone through other planning cycles, be sure that it's being mindful of and respectful of the college's process, and making sure that we do any of this work with proper diligence as we try to do everything. And so with that, I share that the District Academic Senate, as we go into the summer, extremely excited about unpacking the planning and budgeting process here in the district. Many of us attended today's meeting that was facilitated by Dr. Crawford. As I said, we're extremely excited about just unpacking and making things a lot more transparent, a lot more deliberative. Also, we are excited about not just planning and budgeting that process, but planning and budgeting with all funding resources made available and transparent to the constituency groups for their proper roles in making recommendations, most specifically the Academic Senate, upon which the board, our board, you all, our trustees, primarily rely upon those recommendations. I share this because the chancellor himself has already opened up and shared with us over the summer and into the fall that we will be no longer looking specifically at Fund 1, but making available and transparent all funding resources that the district has, for which we should be engaged in thorough planning. And because of that, the District Academic Senate, the Senate presidents met 2 weeks ago, or actually, I am sorry, it was last week, to talk about Measure B funding specifically. And we are in the process of sharing with our colleagues, and I'll share with you tonight so that it is not something as a surprise, but we will be sharing this with our colleagues in the fall for specific criteria with which we are hoping that our colleges, our district, will follow in order to make determinations of how Measure B funding should be used. Those criteria that have been discussed so far is supplemental instruction and embedded tutoring, closing the achievement gaps in distance ed courses, protect and secure low enroll courses necessary for transfer, reducing the cost of textbooks, capping the enrollment of basic skills math courses, and developing student skills application mentoring. And so those are the criteria that we're going to be taking to our colleagues in the fall and hoping to pass a recommendation to you all about Measure B funding. Very similar, we just basically took the model of PASS, which was another initiative that we had, I think it was Chancellor Ortiz made that proposal, and his cabinet made that proposal a couple of years ago when we were looking at how do we work with the money from Measure B, considering that Prop 38 had passed. And we thought that that was a really great model to begin with, and so that's where these criteria started from. And also, just to share that the whole initiative, the intent was to make sure that Measure B funding was impacting and going directly to the classroom. And finally, I would like to share a thanks. I'd like to thank our administrative team that we have in the district and also at our colleges, especially our colleges. All of us are overworked and underappreciated, and all educators are overworked and underappreciated. But most of us are recognized, at least, for being overworked and underappreciated. And many of us faculty are often the first to point out what could be improved upon in our district, and many of those things that we identify that can be improved upon, or rest in the purview of administrative leaders. And so with that, I want to be the first. If, most likely, hopefully in your families, someone have expressed thanks, but if not in the families, at least among the faculty ranks, to express my appreciation and share with you that my appreciation is also shared by my colleagues. And so with that, thank you very much for a great and wonderful academic year. We are looking forward to the next year. We're just really excited about it, as I shared before. And even though that we have a lot of areas that we want to assert our purview, and we plan on asserting that purview. But I think most of us, I know I can speak for myself and for the Senate presidents at least, we are engaged in this work not only because we believe in the work, but we believe in our partners with which we will have to do that work. So thank you.
Thank you very much from our Academic Senate President. It's a great report. The next thing we have on the agenda are presentations, but it doesn't appear that we have any presentations. So we'll go on to the consent calendar.
So move. I move item.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. The next we'll go to is our action items.
So move.
And we have a motion and a second to bring forward the first action item, which is 6.1. And that is consider approval of course and program additions, deactivations, and changes as recommended by the Council for Instruction, Planning, and Development. And the presenter is, well, it says Vice Chancellor Pedraja, but we do not have a Vice Chancellor.
No, and so I think Trustee Weinstein might have pulled the item. Perhaps she has specific questions she'd like to ask us, and we'll get together and answer.
It's open for discussion.
Yeah.
Second.
It's open.
Trustee Weinstein, were there questions in particular
Yeah,
related to this?
thank you, Trustee Brown. I appreciate both speaking to the Chancellor about it and also the details about this, the courses. What I think would be helpful is just to, if somebody could just say what the process is in terms of getting to those positions where you know that the course will either be approved or tabled or not happening. I know that there is a process, I think, that the presidents of the colleges go through, and I just wondered if there is a due process, and if there is, how does it work, so that when I'm reading it, I know where it's coming from.
I wonder, President Smith, if you, because this is a primarily faculty action, if you could share with Trustee Weinstein how the curriculum committee works and to get to some of the decisions, whether to approve courses, delete them, deactivate programs, and the like.
Yes, and so Trustee Weinstein, the curriculum committees at the college, and as Chancellor Laguerre was sharing with you, this is one of the 10+1 items, curriculum, and so it is the faculty purview, the primacy in this area. The college curriculum committees make recommendations and really scour through our curriculum offerings, especially in the time of creating courses for degrees for transfer, for new programs on the campus, and then also looking at which classes are being held and which classes are being offered. Do these classes actually feed into the programs that we're currently offering? And then the curriculum committee makes recommendations based on that. The curriculum committee is chaired by a faculty member, a faculty curriculum chair, and then representatives from the different departments, as well as in some of the colleges, not all of the colleges, had student representatives and administrative consultation as well. And so that is the process by which we should be following. But unfortunately, because I'm not on the district curriculum committee, I do not know if the classes before you, and also because these are coming from the colleges, I do not know if the classes coming before you all has come directly from the curriculum committees, or if it's coming from the presidents having been approved by the curriculum committee.
Can we find that out? Just the process for how you get to, how you evaluate.
So I don't, so for the list, I believe that you see before you, so our academic senate president was great in framing it.
Okay.
It all starts at the college with our curriculum committees, which is a faculty purview.
Right.
And then it goes to our district level curriculum committee, so we have 2 levels, and that once again is made up of all faculty.
Okay.
And it has also administrators, deans, or vice presidents go also for consultation.
Okay.
And that group, once again, re-vets everything since we're a district to make sure there's no overlap and have some discussions. Really have sometimes very heartfelt, prolonged discussions on items for our degrees, courses, certificates, anything curriculum generated. And that body itself then passes or approves the curriculum, and then it goes to the vice chancellor's office for the district to bring it together for you to see it tonight to be approved, and then it goes on to the state for approval.
Okay, and that's basically how each college does it?
Yes, it's fairly regulated in
Regulated.
our system. Yeah, it's a 10+1 issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Might I just note that 10+1 is referring to a section in the education code that identifies 10 categories of academic curriculum that are in the purview of the faculty. So that's when they say 10+1, that's what they're talking about.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for explaining that. I appreciate it, and thank you, Cleavon.
Thank you for the question.
Okay.
We will take roll call on item 6.1, or there will be a board clerk that will call me out on that. So we have the motion, and it's been seconded to approve item 6.1. We'll take roll call vote, beginning with Trustee Weinstein.
Aye.
Trustee Handy. Aye. Trustee Brown. Trustee Withrow.
Aye.
Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen.
Yes.
Trustee Riley.
Yes.
The motion carries. The next item on the next action item that has been pulled for review is item 6.3. Consider approval of contract between PCCD and Healthy Communities, Inc., not to exceed $200,000 for 2017-2018 fiscal year. And Chancellor, do you want to discuss that item or have one of the administrators or staff discuss that item?
Or rather, if there are specific questions about
okay.
the item,
All right.
I think Vice Chancellor Ocken may
We'll
answer.
follow that protocol then for the other action items. Trustee Weinstein, is there something about 6.3 that raises a question?
No, I didn't pull that.
Is there someone that pulled 6.3, or did we just somehow put that number on the board?
I think that was a mistake.
I do believe that there are no questions regarding 6.3, but since we have put it on the action list, we do have to take a roll call vote.
Move
So
approval.
we have a motion and a second for approval, and we'll begin the roll call vote with Trustee Weinstein.
Aye.
Trustee Handy? Yes. Aye from Trustee Brown. Trustee Withrow?
Aye.
Trustee Gonzalez-Wynn?
Yes.
And Trustee
Aye.
Riley?
Yes, thank you.
The motion carries. The next item is 6.26, and that item is consider approval of the California Community College's Chancellor's Office Quarterly Financial Status Report. Do we have a motion and a second so we could begin?
So moved.
It's been moved by Trustee Withrow, second by Trustee Riley. And Trustee Weinstein, do you have any questions regarding 6.26?
Actually, I just wanted to know if somebody could make a summary statement of what's, either what's different in this than usual, or, you know, a summary.
Chancellor, how would you prefer to?
Well, the item that you see is a very standard item, whereby we go through the revenue and the expenditures. We are coming to the end of the fiscal year, and it is a report that we submit to the State Chancellor's Office on a regular basis. So I don't know if there are particular items in it that you...
Okay, I'd be glad to ask a specific question. On A1, which is unrestricted general fund revenues, so what I see is starting from 213 to where we are in 215-16 and then projected, we've gone up in our projected revenues and what our revenues are now. So I'm just wondering why?
Yeah, it's, you're talking about from year to year?
Yeah, see A1 unrestricted, and then it says actual at 215-16, 216-17. And if you start at 213, it's at 115, you go up to 144 and then 133. So we've gone up in revenues, unrestricted general fund revenues.
Yeah, it is actually down for 16-17. Is that the one you have 2013-14, 14-15 is 124, 215-16 actually is 144, and then the projected for 16-17 is 133.
Right.
So it actually decreases a little bit based on, we get our apportionment based on our full-time equivalent students, the FTS. So we have a lower FTS, that's why the projected would be lower.
That's lower from last year.
From last year, yeah.
But last year was significantly higher than the year before.
And so it goes again with, with the enrollment. That's a basic principle that we have. So sometimes when you hear that the enrollment is extremely important for our budget, it's because the budget is based on the number of full-time equivalent students that we have.
So, for instance, in 2014 versus 2015, our enrollment went up.
That is correct.
Okay. And then it's projected to go down.
That's correct. And we have different ways that we work on that, which we will definitely do a board study session where we'll go deeper into some of those issues.
Okay, I just wanted to check on that.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any further questions regarding item 6.26? So then we'll take a vote on item 6.26. It's been moved and second, so we'll do a roll call vote. We'll begin with Trustee Weinstein.
Yes.
Trustee Handy. Yes from Trustee Brown. Trustee Withrow.
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez-Wynn.
Yes.
And Trustee Riley.
Yes.
The motion carries. So we have now finished our agenda, and we have the next thing on the list is announcements. Trustee Gonzalez-Wynn, you're up.
Thank you, Vice President Brown. There's going to be a board retreat scheduled for June 27th, and that will be at Merritt College. Our next regularly scheduled board meeting will be held on July 11th in the district boardroom right here. The district and the colleges are on summer 410 work schedules with limited staffing for Fridays and Mondays from June 5th to July 28th. And the board and staff wishes everybody a fun and safe 4th of July holiday celebration, and go Warriors. Peralta offices will be closed in observation of the Warriors' victory. No, I didn't say that.
That is fake
But
news.
we're going to delay the closure until July 4th.
Yes.
July 4th, we're going to close in
Yes.
honor of the Warriors' victory.
That's right.
And that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, we are not closed on Thursday. That's fake news, and we
No,
don't
and I
want
just
that.
had to hear the end of it. It was on July 4th, we're going to honor the Warriors by closing. Madam Vice President, that concludes all of the real and fake announcements for this evening. Thank you.
This meeting is adjourned.
Nice going, nice going. I like that, Mick. Nice going. Nice going. So, you doing summer school? No.
I've got 3 weeks left in the regular term.
Oh, regular term.
Yeah,
So I was
'cause
supposed to come out. I was supposed to come out. Maybe I have to do it in the fall now, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. We're
Fall
doing
would be good.
it in the fall early. Do it quick.
That would be good in the
Good.
fall. I'd like that.
Okay.
And
Because you were in. I was looking on the map. So you go to get your college. You go to San Jose.
You go down 280 or down 880.
Go 880 to.
I got 3 or 4 different ways.
I can find it
You-
because I'll
you-
probably
you get
go.
to the intersection of 280 and 85.
Oh, 280 and 85. Oh, I know where it is.
280 and 85, and we're right there.
You just take it. Okay.
We're right there on that exit.
I'll probably go over in the morning and have breakfast with one of my buddies I played baseball with in college.
You don't want to go too early in the morning
Because he.
because you get the traffic until
Yeah.
about.
But he lives in Redwood City.
Oh, what? Yeah.
So I'll go to Redwood City and I can just take Redwood Road.
That would be fabulous. I'm going to make a note of that, Bill.
Yeah, I can take Redwood Road just straight up the hill.
I would really like that.
Yeah, we do that. Yeah, yeah.